Hello, hello, my loves, and welcome to eqwjah. So this message is touching my heart today because it's clearly one that needs to be tapped on. And that is the state of what an emotional bully is and where emotional bullying comes from. You know, as a child growing up, I learned to observe a world that was constantly telling me who I was, how I was supposed to act, how I was supposed to talk. And when I didn't conform or confer to what I was being told, I would watch society turn on me. I would watch people who were said to be my friend turn on me. I would watch family members who were said to be my loving companions turn on me and make me feel like who I was less than because they did not know how to apply, at least what I felt was emotional compassion and intelligence to an empathetic situation where all they had to do was put themselves in my shoes as a child or as a person who is opposite of what they know to really pay attention to what was manifesting and unfolding in front of me or in front of them. And what I realize is that most people become bullies when they don't feel safe. You understand? All I know is when I was that kid in elementary, I will admit I was a bully to the bullies. Kind of like Dexter. If you know what Dexter is, you'll figure it out. But it was such an oxymoron that people were like, Juwan, you're beating up bullies, but that makes you a bully. And at the same time, I was like, you're right, because I saw the pain they had, but I saw that that one person's pain was afflicting and affecting multiple people's pain. And in that moment, I just felt it wasn't right. And so for me, I felt, because when I was in the 6th grade, I was 6 foot already. I already had a mustache. All of this stuff. So people thought I was an adult, and I knew because of my size, my color, and everything else, I had to be very careful about how I applied my strength. I had to be very wise about how I approach situations, which is how I became a person where, you know, I coined the phrase like Captain Save-A-Ho. And it's really that moment of like, I wanted to help people who didn't know how to help themselves, but then in a weird way, I was also teaching them now how to help themselves. And so instead of just walking up and saying, hey, you know what, don't pick on them and speak up for yourself. These are 2 moments of stopping bullying. It doesn't matter if you were taught how to fight, how to do any of this. It does matter if you know how to stand up for yourself and love yourself authentically enough to speak through your voice, not the conditioning of other people, not the taunting and teasing that you've been taught as a kid. Oh, if we all gang up on this one person, then we all feel better, but then this one person walks away feeling like crap, and guess what? They will come back bigger and stronger. Do not test someone who is solely being picked on and think that they will not turn into a level of a bully themselves. I've seen many of people where, let's fast forward to the future, all these guys that you joked about were being geeks and dorks and tiny in this, guess who runs the world? These men and women who were bullied, and now emotionally they are desensitized and do not care if others are bullied or hurt or harmed within their establishments of work, in corporations, whatever it might be, their families. They take that type of bullying system and then they reapply it to the world that made them feel like crap. Now, what's the byproduct of that? You get children who believe it's normal to hide behind emotionality, get upset when they don't have to get upset, lie on other people's character because they don't know how to defend themselves, make up things about an environment so they don't have to go there to feel safe, when in reality, they're just not taking the time to step outside of their comfort zones. You have to understand that the reason we got to this place in life is that there is masculine and feminine energy, and within those 2 umbrellas falls the spectrum of beta alpha. It doesn't matter which side of masculine and feminine you are, because we clearly see bullying on both sides of the spectrum when it comes to the biological male and female. Bullying is just something that's energetically built into us when we don't know how to love ourselves because someone else didn't love us. And so we think it's normal to put people through the ringer or chastise them for things that we're not capable of doing ourselves. And if we are capable of doing ourselves, which is when I see people who use their smarts and their intelligence to bully and belittle people. This is a condescending ego type of threat to the self that feels, because I don't know how to defend myself physically, I'm going to use my intelligence to break someone down. And that's another type of weapon that is meant to be a tool. If we start lining up people and letting them know that, listen, physically you should be able to protect yourself, but emotionally and spiritually you should always be protected, because then you will not fall to somebody else's banter. You will not fall to somebody else's chastising. You will not fall to somebody else's teasing, because you know innately in your heart this person is trying to learn, and if they can learn through the reflection of your confidence and your presence and your identity, then they're going to try you. And if they can't do it, then guess what they do? Oh, you're cool, man. I see I can't pick with you. Let me go pick on somebody who's going to give me the reaction and response that I'm craving. You know, I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and he was like, you know, you don't act like an angry black man. And I said to him, who says I'm not? It doesn't mean that I don't get upset about things that are not what I feel justice or equal or something that we all deserve a right to. But at the same time, I'm also not going to react and respond in a way that you expect me to, because you think you have something over me. Remember, people only have power over you if you want something from them. So even if a bully approaches you, they want your attention, they want your whatever, they want your reaction. And in that moment in time, that's when you get to choose to interact or walk away or whatever you want to do. I am never encouraging anyone to get into any confrontations that they don't have to. But I'm a firm believer in knowing when you have to stand ground and speak up for yourself. And if that entails speaking with someone who's emotionally unstable and they will physically try to hurt you, then yes, be wise about how you deliver a message and get away from that person. But if you know that you're a person like myself, I ain't worried about nothing. I'm gonna say exactly how I feel, because I was built to be this person. And this is why we need more. I was gonna say many more, but more love of self and more leaders who understand what this love of self looks like. Because if you have love for yourself, then you understand self-preservation, which means you understand the preservation of all. And that becomes that duty and role that you step into proudly and gladly without feeling like you're trying to control the situation. You know, there's a lot of times when I walk in and I see bullying and I'm like, am I controlling the situation if I'm trying to intervene? No, I just see that something is not correct. So I'm going to take charge of that situation, but I'm not going to stand there and try to control it, which is, now you say you apologize and now you apologize. That's control. What I'm going to say is, look, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what this is about, but maybe you should not be doing this way, or try another way to articulate what you need to say and need, so the communication can be reciprocal and you don't have what we call an argument or, you know, a public display of whatever, because we're not able to take a moment and take in our emotions and understand that what we're responding to is a response that somebody else created out of fear, out of judgment, out of hate, out of retaliation of not being able to express themselves. And I've seen a lot of, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of adults who were once children who were bullied and told they can't speak up or have a choice or option. They do it to kids again. It is so weird to watch adults bully children, when it's like, you're an adult. You wake up every day and make decisions on your own and walk out into the world and create your reality. A child is still under the reality and control of someone else's wants, desires, and needs. And until they're able to financially or emotionally walk away from it, that's what that child has to live with. We all went through it. But it does not make sense when I see an adult who is capable of doing not only physical harm, but also now you're doing emotional harm, and now you're doing spiritual harm. And it doesn't make sense to keep this cycle of hatred going on. You have to know when to step back and realize I was built in a world that was told to suppress itself. And if I suppress my emotions, then whatever I'm thinking is now the logical answer. Logical is not real, people. I hear so many people say this. Logic is not real. Logic is an emotional state of conceding and saying this is where we're stopping, okay? That's logic. Emotional intelligence is saying, I know that logically what I've been taught, this is what it looks like, but now the world has changed just simply because of technology. So conceptually, this is not logical anymore. If someone said you're going to be holding a cell phone, talking on it like this, somebody back in the day would be like, that's not logical. How are you going to do that? It needs a cord to connect the power. Now we have wireless, cordless, everything with Bluetooth and all this and Wi-Fi, and it's now, this is the new logic. Do you understand? Logic is what we conceptually apply to our lives as human beings and make real every day into a structured manner that we all replicate and agree to it works for us. So when we step into these worlds of understanding the emotional intelligence of how we connect to spirituality, because spirituality is not just going to church. Spirituality is when you wake up and brush your teeth. Spirituality is when you give your time rest to listen in peace. Spirituality is when you lay with your animals and take time to just breathe, because you're praising and honoring this physical flesh that has walked into this world as a vessel to be used so us, the soul, can see everything we're supposed to remember, to stop repeating these cycles of bullying that came from cycles of fear, that came from cycles of misconstrued information and distorted hate that has become a competition among people who don't even know they're competing with each other. You understand, there's been many times where there's people who don't even know what a black person is, but yet they feel they have to compete with them. What sense does that make? You understand? That's something that has been conditionally drawn into people's ego cultures. There is a culture of ego that exists, and unfortunately, we praise the ego much more than we've given honor to the soul. And do not forget, the soul and ego, in my mind, are on equal playing fields, because they both serve a purpose to God. They both serve a purpose to the universe. And if we allow ourselves to then become the bully within ourselves, if our soul mind and our ego mind are both connected in a way that they both are constantly fighting and bullying each other over what we call morals. Morals are something that, again, were created out of what we saw was right and wrong, but someone took it to a place of logic and made morals only fit their beliefs. Emotional morality is knowing that, let's just say, for example, we're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and people talking about, oh, the burning down of this and that and destruction of property. Infrastructure has nothing to do with understanding that there's an emotional history connected to that pain. Maybe it might not be right to you, but morals connect back to our beliefs. And so you have two worlds that are saying this is wrong, this is right. Okay, but emotionally, this is right for them. Emotionally, this is not right for you. If we're not able to come to a middle of the grounds and say, hey, this is pain, and this pain is going to birth a new life and love. If we listen to it, if we ignore it, it suppresses it, and that's when the bullying cycle starts all over again. And then we start believing and having expectations and expecting explanations from people when actually no one deserves to give you any answer. All you have to do is observe and sit back and allow the flow of life. But if you're constantly trying to fight against it, then you're going to keep fighting not only yourself, not only the world and the environment, but you're going to keep fighting your consciousness, which is trying to wake you up and align you to your soul path, which is what, again, connects us to our passions here on earth as a vessel that is meant to be heard, seen, to help create more creation. That is literally why we are humans. We literally can use, again, quantum creation as anything that sits inside of this head that I just think about and think about and think about. I don't know where it comes from. I don't care about how much I've studied. I can study books back and forth, and then there's things that come to me that I never have read in a book. That's spirit that's talking to you, okay? That's universe working through you. So when I know this, then I understand that I can't fight that. I have to express that. And so the soul's like, thank you. Now I will stop making you feel like you're supposed to go out and make other people feel bad for believing in this. Because that's what happens. When we fight our own spirituality, we go out and pick on those who actually know theirs. When we fight our confidence, we go out and pick on those who don't have it. When we fight our worth, we pick on those who have it. And this is why it's so important to recognize that you yourself are a vessel and a beautiful divine entity that was sent here to work through the purpose of what Gaia needs, what spirit needs, and what our consciousness needs. Remember, we are earth babies that go right back to the earth. We are a spiritual consciousness of the soul that is incarnated this body to remember all of the things that we keep doing to get back to this cycle. And then our consciousness will just keep giving us innovations to keep pulling us out of this. As like, here, let me help you out because I see you drowning. Let me help you out because I see you drowning. At some point, Spirit's like, can y'all stop falling off the boat? Can you stop jumping off the boat and creating self-sabotaging worlds that are going to create more bullying and more discord and more hate? Because it doesn't make sense. Again, hate to me is not real. Hate is only fear. Love is real. And what happens out of love is pain. And when you allow pain to work its way out of your body, then it becomes something that is healed. When you keep holding on to pain, then the pain becomes hate, which becomes cancerous to yourself. And that's when the body starts to eat at itself, and then you want to eat at the world. I hope that made sense. At the end of the day, remember, your opinion is a thought. It doesn't mean it's real. Your opinion is a feeling. Doesn't mean it's real. But how you apply them to life and how you allocate that feeling and that thought together, that's what creates healing. All right, guys, I love you.